layers of ice. And unlike a hockey rink, it's not a thin layer of ice, right? It's 300 meters thick. It's thicker than the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France is high. To put that into perspective, solid ice down to bedrock. And it's existed here in larger or smaller form for thousands upon thousands of years. It's a large enough chunk of ice that it has lived through countless thousands of summers. It melts in the summer, right? But it hasn't melted away, not yet at least.
That's what we're riding on.
1 second.
Stop! Move over!
Sorry, don't mess it up.
Sorry.
Yes!
Hola!
And so, evidence of the fact that the glacier moves is in these big piles of rock that you see all around. That glacier is quite literally carving its way down the valley. It flows, kind of the way that water does in a river, but much slower. And it moves because gravity is pulling it. And this is a very bizarre thing to wrap your head around, but ice like this actually behaves kind of like a liquid. Think of maple syrup or honey. Imagine you take a cutting board and you put it on edge, you can pour honey or maple syrup onto it, right? It oozes its way down. It's exactly what the ice does, very, very slowly. It is still solid though, okay? It's solid and it's liquid all at the same time. And its incredible size, it grinds away the valley walls. All these mountains around here have been carved out by ice. And like a bulldozer, the moving ice pushes and plows all of that rock beside it away. And that's what you're seeing here. So yeah, we're in the water now. And this water hole is very important. We've driven across a lot of moraine rock and dirt and sand and whatever else. We don't want to track a thin, fine layer of dirt up onto the ice road. So we wash our tires. And that's what that rule is for. We don't want to track a thin, fine layer up onto the ice road because a thin, fine layer of sand would warm in the sun and would quite literally cause this ice road here to melt very, very quickly. See the water flowing beside us? See the bluish color where the water is flowing? Pretty cool. You see the dirt as well? The glacier is very, very dirty, right? And you know what that dirt is? Last winter's snowfall. That's all that's left of it. You think when you see snowfall, right, how clean it is? Well, every flake of snow has got a bit of dirt or dust at the core of it. And we get a lot of snowfall here. We can see 10 meters or more of snowfall per year in this valley. And that snow will melt away, but it'll melt away on what is permanent ice. And so the dirt is very, very visible. I'm sure where you live, right, you've noticed in the spring where grass meets pavement, whenever there's a little residue, a little dirt, and that's the same stuff. It's just not as noticeable there as it is on a glacier. And as we drive higher and higher, the ice gets thicker and thicker under us as well. And what's really, really cool is, what you're seeing here is a living remnant, a living leftover from the last great ice age. This ice has existed here in larger or smaller form for maybe 35, 45, 55,000 years, right? When this ice was at its peak, it covered almost all of what is today Canada. From what is today the coast of BC, to the islands of Nunavut, through the mountains, the foothills, the prairies, the Shield Forest country, the St. Lawrence Valley, the Great Lakes area, all the way to what is today the fjords of Newfoundland and the east. It was all covered with ice. And 10,000 years ago, that ice age ended. What did that mean? Well, things got warmer, right? And where does ice go when it warms? Well, it's going to melt away from the south to the north, right? It's colder in the north than the south in our hemisphere, right? It's going to melt away from the lower elevations, the prairies, the Great Lakes lowlands, and it's going to melt back into those places high in the mountains of the west. And so where today you find ice? Well, in Nunavut, the NWT, Yukon, and in the mountains of Alberta and BC, right? Makes sense.
That is actually awesome water.
Hiking on the glacier. Well, I stopped right now, but look at the guide. It's another option for visitors to the Athabasca Glacier. You can hire a guide to take you on a 3 or 6 hour long tour of the glacier. Today is Thursday. Thursdays and Sundays are the 6 hours. venture all the way up to the head wall. Those steps or kind of tiers that are up ahead of us of broken ice and snow. And those 3 steps, you can see 3 distinct steps, right, with a big snowdrift at the horizon. That is what connects this moving body of ice, the Athabasca Glacier, with its source. Its source is the main Colombia ice field. And it's huge. This is 5.5 square K of ice. That's 325 square K up there. Huge, huge area of snow and ice. We never see a lot of wildlife up here. From our transfer point, right, on this side of the valley, there's no food, there's no shelter, there's just ice, snow, water, rock. So there's not really a whole lot of reason for wildlife to spend much time here. The only thing we do see here between April and October is a very, very wild and migratory species known by its Latin name as Touristus visitus. So if you encounter them, stay well back, don't feed them. That's you, right? Exactly. But yeah, on occasion we'll see birds of prey and ravens and scavengers will fly over this area, and the only reason they do it is because we're here. Maybe, I left the window open and my pack sack's open with my lunch in it. A raven swoops down and snags that could happen. Up to your left there are a couple of hanging glaciers. Those are really, really cool. The first one's kind of set back, that's called the double A. The next one's called the Andromeda, and it hangs over a really steep cliff. And what you can see if you look at it are cracks, right? Cracks all over it. And those cracks are called crevasses. Crevasses form where a glacier kind of flows and then bends at the surface. Think about this. You take a chocolate bar. That's got caramel in the middle of it. Mars or whatever. Maybe a big Turk would be a good example with that delicious stuff, whatever it is in the middle. You twist it, what's going to happen? You bend it, twist it, the chocolate layer cracks, right? But all that stuff in the middle binds together. So if you bend it back to straight, those cracks kind of close up. The glacier does the very same thing as it flows. The surface is like a brittle layer of chocolate. The interior is like caramel or purple stuff. So the crevasses exist all around us here. And our roadway and our parking area are plowed and graded. My point is, very, very importantly, unlike those people that have listened to this spiel and walked away, I'd ask that you do not. Stay inside the plowed, graded, flat surface. Okay, the meltwater stream, the pylons, and the raised areas, those are the markers. Stay inside all of those, on this side of them, okay? Because at this time of year particularly, it's very, very dangerous. The snowpack from last winter is not melted everywhere. It can be a thin layer bridging the entrances to those hazards. You break through and you fall to a very cold, wet, lonely place where you might spend a lot longer than your vacation. And I don't mean to be morbid or anything else about that, but it's